Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for spending your time with me. Man, this last week has been a humbling experience and I'm really grateful for all the feedback that I've gotten so far and really humbled about all the positive feedback that I've really gotten so far. And I hope that I can reciprocate that back to you guys. Real quick, this episode or this video is going to be about crates. Now, one thing to take away is that I just did some different techniques depending on what material you had. And let me not take up much more of that time. Let's get into it. All right, guys, starting off with that chipboard. I just went ahead and measured 1 inch by 2 inch sections, but I measured 4 of them because what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna score those lines and then we're gonna bend them, and that's gonna make all 4 sides of a crate. Now, you use the dimensions that you want. So if you want to do a square, you just do 4 1 by 1 squares and do the same technique. Alright guys, so right here I just went ahead and just hot glued some cereal box right to the top. Just made it easy every chance that I get so that I could just glue something and then trim off the excess. I'm gonna take it, and it actually makes the trimming more precise than if you pre-measure it and then try to retrofit it. Alright, let's get into some banding with some 1/4 inch cardstock. Alright guys, so the banding is kind of universal. You just take more of the 1/4 inch cardstock strips and just band and be creative with it. And then here's the detailing. So I dig right into my bag of scraps again and trying to come up with an idea, game plan. Not expecting anything, but allowing anything to happen. Just kind of measuring things up and seeing what works, what won't, and what I really want to ultimately do in the end. Just experimentation. Alright, so I'm gonna try to movie magic some of the highlights I think might draw the most inspiration, and hope you guys do. Here we go. Actually, one more thing to cut in. You might see me use that hot glue like that with some fine detailing. Just be careful if you're gonna do that. You can also use tacky glue to be a little safer. If you do use the hot glue and you do get a little bit on, you just kind of rub it between your fingers. There's a slight split second there where it does cool down, and make sure you get to it immediately. You'll get used to it. Alright, so I cut to the XPS foam a little prematurely. I wanted to show one more variation with the cardstock. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to use some foam core to kind of give it that indent. Now I'm marking in about a 1/4 inch in, and then I'm gonna slice off some squares here and then hot glue them so that it kind of gives that indent of the crate there. And I'm just marking off there where I need to cut off, and I'm basically gonna hot glue it and then just surround the whole thing with it. Now, for any crate that was 2 inches long, takes up two, squares on the game board. I went ahead and just put in a filler piece. Now, cardstock is pretty durable, where you probably don't need it, but I do travel a lot, so I just did an extra precaution. Do you need it? I'm not sure. Will I find out? I'll find out if the middle piece is not durable enough. I'll tell you that. Um, anyway, this is just it. Go ahead, hit that glue, make it do what it do. There's that middle support. And I just eyeballed that, and I went ahead and just went all the way around. Now you'll see at the end, if I needed to do extra trimming, I did it before I closed off the seal. So there's my third wrap around, seeing if I need to close it off and do a slight little trim. And there it is, closing the box. All right, so more banding. That's it, rinse and repeat. And I'm gonna measure it up here, but I'm gonna overshoot it because I know I'm gonna trim it anyway. Again, if you got a chance to just glue it and then trim it, take that chance, because I mean, I like crafting, but I like the best part of crafting I like is the finished product. And whatever gets me to that result in that balance of decent quality versus good efficiency, I'm gonna take that route all the time. All right, so right here I switched to the cereal box just to add a little depth to the crate, and that's really it. So just use whatever you want for banding. You know what I mean? Just make it happen, Captain. It's your ship. All right, let's do a little more detailing and then slip into the XPS. Alright, so this is the large crates. Now, rinse and repeat for the small crates. Just make them squares. And let's get into some XPS. Alright, so I whipped out the big tool on this one, and I decided to make my crates 7/8 by 7/8 of an inch. Now, the reason I did this because I wanted them to be a little shy of the inch grid. Because even though my tiles don't have per se a traditional grid, they are based on a grid, and they keep that grid going, and each one is an inch. And then just to mention a little bit of safety, if you got thick XPS foam, you want to go ahead and increase the heat on the wire on the Proxon table, and this is just so that you can push it through at a consistent speed and the wire won't snap. Now, keep in mind that while you're watching this is movie magic right here, so I'm increasing the speed, but I'm really going at an appropriate speed, trying to mill down the thick XPS and a high heat. Couple of extra safety things to talk about. Let's talk about the fumes, and let's talk about eyewear or eye protection. First, eye protection. Go ahead. It's always a good idea. It's always a smart idea, really, to wear that eye protection. You never know where that cord is gonna snap, when it's gonna break, and where is it gonna snap to, and where you're standing in proportion to that. You do it at your own risk. The fumes. Let's talk about the fumes. Even though the fumes technically are of a toxic nature, we're talking about the same type of safety feature you should use when you're standing in front of a campfire. I mean, it's really not an issue as long as you're ventilated and when you're doing it. and it's really about the black fumes. And we're talking about extreme exposures, like long exposures, not short, intermittent exposures. And we're talking about like firefighting situations where a whole house, because remember, XPS foam is for residential and commercial insulation. So that's its primary function. And if the whole house goes on fire, I mean, you're talking about a lot of fumes. So that's where, safety, but it's really smoke. I mean, as precautious you're going to be with smoke is about as precautious that you really need to be. If anybody feels differently, definitely let's open up that conversation, because we should all try to be safe with each other, and spread that safeness around, So leave it in the comments below and let's discuss. All right, now that you got your little sugar cube lumps there, remember they're about 7/8. I made them 7/8, so my midpoint is 7/16. So I just hit the proxon right there, and then I just started tapping. Now to get the diamond feature, all I did was I tapped the corners just to get that midpoint again, and then I just went ahead and free-handed the the lines from point to point as if I was measuring it, but went ahead and just free-handed it, just like this. Tap, 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 tap. Now, if you had tools or you built yourself some jigs or whatever, I'm sure you could get even more precise. But I went ahead, and again, this is efficiency, still getting that look. And if I didn't get it down, I'll just pick out another one of those cubes and do it again. And nothing. I like how it came out. Another one that I freehanded was those X features across the middle. And that I just used the corners. Now, I did one with one tap on each side, and then I did another one where I did some X's. Also, one thing I didn't show was that I created some that were a lot shorter in height, but I did the same techniques, and I went ahead and just tapped some lines and just got creative with it. Some of them were multi-lines, some of them would just look like briefcases, and just went ahead and did that. And then later on, you see me attach those to some of the bigger crates. All right, and now I started attaching them to chipboard bases. Now I did cut the chipboard 1 inch by 1 inch, and that was just to kind of give it something to glue on. And I knew that I was gonna trim off little pieces of it anyway, but I wasn't too sure exactly what I wanted to make and whatever, and what kind of patterns and stuff. One thing I did do was on one of them, I kind of spread the boxes up, and that was with that one right there. So that was with the intent of making it seem a little more realistic, but that backfired when I went to go paint it and I had to get in those crevices. So I recommend not going for that and just going for them stuck together. All right, guys. So last minute, I decided to skip the footage of the painting, and this is for two reasons. One, it's the same painting as the tile sets, and two, it really is up to you how you want to paint it. Now, I will tell you that when I went into painting, the mindset was that I didn't want them to outshine the tile sets or anything else, so I went for duller colors. Just a matte gray, and just some of the and less of the gunmetals, the metallic colors. Now, one thing I did too was you could see those little briefcases, I call them. They are sitting on top of the crates, and I would just went ahead and multicolored just because I didn't want them really all dull gray. I did want to introduce a little bit of color to them, so that was my solution for that. But just to run down, it's basically the matte black, unless I went for white crates, then I did a gray, a base coat of gray, and then just covered it in whatever matte color that I wanted. And then went ahead and dry brush, and then detailed with some colors. The last thing to note is that I brought in Tidal Blue from Craftsmart, and that's just because I wanted to start bringing in different color other than everything on the shade gradient. So and that was the color of my choice that I'm gonna start bringing in to the tile sets, and not the tile sets, but the accessories and the scatter pieces moving forward. Let me know in the comments below if you do want to see some of the painting going on, or got any questions or anything. But it is really straightforward, and that's as much I can say about that. All right, and that's a wrap, guys. So to my subscribers, thank you, appreciate it. Hope I don't let y'all down. New videos every 10, 20, 30. If you're new watching, come on, subscribe, man. It's right on the right-hand side. Just do it. And new recommendation videos on the left-hand side. And yeah, I did this all in the 20-second frame. So that's it, guys. See you on the 10. I'm out.